this is it. This is the day. This is where I finally get to do the thing I originally set out to do, and that is paint a guitar body with fabric dye. Such an easy concept to wrap your mind around, right? And I've gone down this crazy side tangent, routing out the body, making pick guard cutting templates, cutting a pick guard, the whole thing. And I'm finally back to the original premise of what I was trying to do here. So, I have sanded this entire body. First, I sanded it with 400 grit sandpaper, and I did some tests, and I wasn't happy with the results. It was too clean. I liked the fuzzy edges of what I originally did when I sanded this little bit here with 220. So I went back and I sanded the entire body with 220, and weirdly, I gotta say, I think I like the look of this body a lot better with this sanded kind of like matte finish thing going on. There's something fun about a soft sanded body. I know that if I gigged with this, sweat would get on it and it would get all uneven and splotchy. Some parts would be shiny and some parts wouldn't. But, you know, that's part of the fun of playing guitar, right? It's getting all sweaty and stuff. Why am I talking to you about getting sweaty? So anyways, what I've done, because what I figured out was the secret recipe for getting this fabric dye to stick to the poly, is I have pre-mixed that fabric dye with acetone in these little jars here. And I even got a third color, a second color of blue. I had started out with this color, the tropical teal, and I wasn't happy with the way it looked on top of this seafoam, surf blue, whatever it officially is. So I got this sapphire blue, and with some tests, I think I prefer this much more. So I'm probably gonna be leaning into the pink, which I've mixed here, and the sapphire blue. And maybe I'll bring in little bits of this if I feel like it'll help. The plan. Is there a plan for what I'm about to paint? Yes, I've been testing out ideas on the iPad here in an app called Procreate, which is great. If you're an illustrator, you like to draw or anything like that, I really recommend Procreate. It's a wonderful alternative to Adobe softwares, and it actually has a lot of its own strengths. But as you can see, I've gone for a bit of like a leopard print thing here, but leopard print by way of like, what if a leopard was an exotic tropical octopus? And something interesting I've done here with this mock-up is you'll notice on this side, it is pink dots with blue outside lines. And on the bottom side here, it is blue dots with pink outside lines. I like the way that attention shifts. So I might try to do the same thing here. I'm not gonna be using this as like a hard rule book guide. I'm gonna let the guitar kind of guide me as I'm painting it here, but this is a nice visual place to start, I think. Also, I'm not expecting the colors to end up this bold. I think they're gonna be a lot more muted, which I'm fine with. This was more just to kind of do a test of the layout. So I'm gonna have this out to reference it, and I'm just gonna kind of get started. I might put on a little music and just kind of zone out and get in the zone, you know? Also, in the previous videos, I was painting with some little Q-tips. This time I have some actual brushes. I've got some fine tip little brushes here that I'm gonna use to paint these spots onto the guitar. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. think that's all I can really do. For now, I'm gonna let it set. In the past, I've been letting it set till the next day. It is 10 a.m. right now. I have a feeling I'm gonna come back to this at like 4 o'clock. I'm gonna flip it over. I'll do the other side. I have a feeling this will all just be completely set by then and I won't have anything to worry about. Gotta say, having fun. I'm having fun. This situation is pretty easy to work with. I hope the results are good. If the results suck, what I've learned is that all this comes off with sanding. Sandpaper takes it right off. So if I want to reset it and try again, I totally can. But yeah, brushing it on is a lot of fun, getting to watch the little bleeds happen and stuff like that, and just allowing the kind of like chaotic liquid nature of what's going on kind of steer what's happening is very satisfying in a hand-done craft sort of way. So yeah, so far I'm recommending this process. I think it's a blast. All right, I'll be back in hours. It's been a couple hours. Everything looks nice and dry on here, so I'm gonna flip it over and work on the back side and the edges as much as I can. And then I'll let it just sit overnight and then give it a wipe down in the morning. Okay, here we go. It's big reveal time. Time to wipe off my concoction here of fabric dye and acetone. It all dries up pretty quick. That acetone just evaporates. I leave it for so long just in case. It probably doesn't need to be left overnight. I can probably just wait an hour or two, but I might be wrong. And there's no harm in waiting, so I just wait. So anyways, let's just go for it. I'm expecting everything to be a lot more muted, a lot more subtle than this once I get it all wiped away. And if I hate it, then I'm gonna be sanding it off and trying again. I'm gonna need a lot of rubbing alcohol and a lot of paper towels. There we go. That blue's starting to pop through again. I was expecting the bigger spots to be a lot more solid. It's a lot more brushy and watercolory, if that's the correct way to say that. It's probably not. It has this watercolor element to it that I wasn't fully expecting within the solids. I wonder why. It's possible that I'd need to work the dye into the body physically a bit more to get a more solid sort of result. This is all about experimentation though. And I am feeling actually pretty dang happy with the results in the moment. And I'm very happy with what I'm learning in the moment as well. And hopefully you guys are learning too. And if you have ideas for ways you want to customize your instruments to look different, this will be some inspiration, I suppose. Or, you know, a lesson in what to avoid. Starting to come off a lot cleaner now. I'm gonna flip to the other side. It's so dramatic going from one side to the other. Getting some interesting banding right here on the edges. Clearly I didn't sand evenly right there, and so that's why that's happening. Something to be mindful of if I ever do this again. But I don't know. I think that looks kind of radical. Let's try putting the pick guard on it and seeing how it pops. It definitely looks different. I think this is going to look cool though. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the final product. I think it's going to be eye-catching. I'm going to put a clear coat on this. Let me go get the can of stuff. Well, I went to go get the clear coat that I was going to use to tell you about it. And when I came back, I had a bit of a personal crisis looking at the guitar. And so I've walked away for a couple days and now I'm back and I have a question. I want you guys to help me decide what I'm going to do. There's a lot of inconsistency here. There's a lot of things that didn't turn out the way that I was hoping. I learned a lot, and that's been the biggest part of the goal here, is to learn and to experiment and to find out if this is something that's doable. And I think I'm most of the way there towards deciding that this is totally something that's doable, but there are limitations that I'm butting up against. You can see that there's a lot of places where the dye didn't absorb in the same as places right next to it. And I think that has to do with pressure. I think it has to do with me not working in the dye with the brush as hard as I did with the Q-tips when I was testing with the Q-tips right here. So that's something to consider, is that there are other factors at play, not just where you lay it down, that determines how strong that color effect is gonna be. This is never gonna be a solution that gives you an even distribution of color. So I feel like I need some personal time to think about how to attack the next project where I'm doing something like this. Also, on the edges, places where I didn't get things sanded evenly because it's an edge, the dye absorbed in different ways, giving me banding on the edges. That's not something I was anticipating. I think there's a lot of really fun creative potential here. But here's my question. Should I leave it as is and put it together and forget the clear coat? I wanted to, over the past couple days, I've been thinking I should test it as a guitar without the clear coat. Anyways, there was someone in one of the previous videos who said that this ink, this dye, is going to end up bleeding into whatever shirt I'm wearing once I start sweating or something like that. I'd kind of like to test that. I'd kind of like to see what would happen if I don't clear coat this. Just leave it as is. The other option, so that's the first option, leave it as is, assemble it, just accept the kind of imperfect results here and just lean into it. The other option is to sand it back down to blue. Now, part of the thing about that is that there's a couple places where the finish has already gotten so thin that the wood is poking through from the little bit of sanding that I've done. I had no idea that Classic 5 Squires had such thin finishes these days. But right there, there's a little bit of wood poking through. Also, right there, there's a little bit of wood poking through, which tells me, oh, also right here around the pickup routes, there's some wood poking through, which tells me that if I sand this down again, there's going to be more of that. So I might as well, if I'm going to sand it, lean into that and go like a rat rod direction with kind of like matte, flat sanded paint with bits of wood and whatever is underneath the blue finish poking through and stuff like that, which could be a really cool look. I definitely wouldn't hate that sort of look, but I want you guys to help me decide. Should I leave it as is and put it all together, or should I sand it back down to blue and wood bits mixed in for a rat rod sort of look? And then I can continue experimentation some other time, maybe with this guitar or another guitar, depending on how I'm feeling. So let me know down in the comment section. YouTube used to be able to let you run a poll on videos, and they don't let you do that anymore. So just comment down below and I'll kind of take the temperature of what people are thinking off of that. But let's put it together, not all the way, but just kind of lay everything out so we can see what it would look like as is right now. Might as well throw the pickups on there as well. There's no holes for the bridge yet, but I'll balance it right there just to give the impression of where this is headed. So what do you guys think? Should I run with it as is? Just embrace the imperfection, embrace the hand-done sort of look here, all the little faded bits and everything that just it's not perfect. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but it still could look pretty dang cool, and they're still experimenting to find out if this dye will bleed into a white shirt as I'm playing it. I'll sacrifice a white shirt to find out. Or should I take it down to a more simple look, a more traditional look, as far as like a lightly relic, sanded down sort of appearance? I personally, the reason I'm asking is I'm torn. I think both directions are equally valid. I want to know what you guys want to see. So anyways, thanks for being on this journey with me. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you're having a lot of fun too. There's going to be at least one more video in this, and I'm hoping that it's going to be me putting it all together and then testing out these pickups and showing off how the pickups sound. I'm hoping to not do more like take it down to blue and experiment again, and then take it down and experiment again sorts of videos. I feel like I've learned what I set out to learn. So I'm hoping the next video will be the conclusion of the series, and then I'll be experimenting more in the future with either another guitar, or I'll take this guitar apart again and do it all again when I feel like going down that path. So anyways, yeah, looking forward to the comment section. Please let me know what you think I should do. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to you guys. I'm gonna steer the boat depending on what you guys say. I mean, there's going to be a day or a date where I'm like, okay, time to film the next thing, and the voting will be closed. But yeah, I pay attention to you guys. I love the comment section. I think you guys have a lot of good things to say, so I'm looking forward to reading them. All right, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude, nasty comments. Support us on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you're naked, and stay grounded. All right, bye everybody.